What is going on, guys? We got some interesting news on Battlefield 2020, or should I say Battlefield 2021 or 2022. News has come out from EA CEO Andrew Wilson that our next Battlefield title will launch in the fiscal year of 2022, which is between April 2021 and March 2022. This is not a new approach to have such a wide window for a launch date. They did the exact same thing back for Battlefield 5, stating that it would launch in fiscal year 2019, which started between April 1st, 2018 and ended March 31st, 2019. So, no news there, but what is interesting is Battlefield is being pushed back from its usual 2-year cycle for at least another year of development. Now, of course, there's nothing confirmed if they have begun to work on the next Battlefield title as of yet, but I think it's fairly clear that Battlefield 5 has been a sobering period for EA DICE to get them to at least momentarily change up their 2-year game life cycle. This could have a very positive effect on not only the next Battlefield title, but also double down on continual support for Battlefield 5 and maybe, just maybe, confirm rumors that it was the rush development cycle of Battlefield 5 and its allocation of development resources that contributed to an underperforming game, but that's just my speculation. There are other reasons to why they'd probably push this date back that I'll talk about here in a little bit, but what I do want to get to is our next Battlefield title and the first description of the game I want to hear, or maybe I should say what I do not want to hear. You'll be very surprised how just a couple of words can go a very long way in conceptualizing content and can steer a game down a direction that it is indefinitely committed to. And even though I'm sure we're still months and maybe even another year away from getting any sort of statement describing what our next Battlefield game will be like, I do think it is a good time to talk about this because you sure know EA DICE has been. So here's a case in point on how just a simple statement can really describe a game. You guys remember this statement right here? This was a remark given by Andrew Wilson, the CEO of EA, back when we heard the first words describing Battlefield 5. He called it visually stunning and deeply immersive. Now, there were 4 words that I would say would probably best describe Battlefield 5 in a positive light. I would say that these would probably be it. Now, I will quickly say, because I'm sure there's a lot of people who are going to stop me and be like, deeply immersive? How can it be deeply immersive if there are women screaming on the front lines? And these are the type of things I see mentioned a lot in my full immersion videos. But I will talk about that here in a second, how DICE doesn't really mean that sort of immersion. But let's first start with visually stunning. Yes, Battlefield 5 is a visually stunning game. That is without a doubt. You can very much get caught in awe in the fields of Arras or the desert landscapes of Amada. The visual detail of Battlefield 5, or just any Battlefield game in general, leaves someone like me just to sit back and marvel at really what I'm looking at. It's really a great work of art in my opinion. This is classic Battlefield here, and I would expect no less. When it comes to the deeply immersive part, yes, Battlefield is immersive in the sense of hearing females on the front lines, but that's not what they're talking about here. What they're really talking about are things like character movement, you know, like your soldier jumping out of a window, or destruction of buildings on the battlefield. Even the sounds of Battlefield, like the Stuka and the siren as it's diving in, or the V1 rocket. Go look up how they went about trying to get the sound for the V1 rocket when you don't exactly have a V1 rocket sitting around in your garage. So if you're talking about that type of immersion, yes, congratulations, you have nailed it, DICE. It is an absolutely immersive type of game. But with that said, notice how there is not one mention of anything to do with the gameplay. I mean, yes, you could say, well, they are talking about the gameplay, but the visuals of it, and yes, that can be true, but there's nothing here that's really mentioning anything about how the actual game is going to play. Even if it's a cliche type of description, like the next Battlefield title's gameplay is revolutionary in its style, or the gameplay is more fun than it's ever been. I don't really know what they would say, but at least have something with gameplay in it. There's nothing here in the statement. It all alludes to how Battlefield is visually going to be like, and for it being almost a year now since the launch of Battlefield 5, I can confidently say that visually and the immersion has been delivered, but the gameplay, well, that's still up for debate. And that's the unfortunate part. I should feel by now the full glory of the all-out 64-player battles that I absolutely love, but all I can really think about is the highs and lows that Battlefield 5 has brought me this past year. Because of this, I can't help but go back and think about these early descriptions for Battlefield 5 and how they play a role in the course it took. So when it comes to the first words I hear described about our next Battlefield game, I would prefer not to hear such an emphasis on visuals, but give me something that tells me the gameplay is going to be rich, and not rich with just immersion, but it's just fun again. Not to point out specifics of what's fun and not fun about Battlefield 5, but when it comes all together, there's something that's just missing about this game that other games like Battlefield 1 delivered on. I can still jump on that game and have a great time just because of how it all comes together and brings a great experience. Now, that's not to say that I think we should take a step backwards with its visuals. I mean, that is a big part of what makes Battlefield what it is today. The last thing I want to see is a step forward with the gameplay, but then 2 steps backwards with its visuals, since I think the biggest complaint the community has is watching the progression be made in one area, but then the result in digression in another area. What I would like to see instead is gameplay being raised up to the standard that the visuals of the game have been at all this time. In the last part of the news that came out from Andrew Wilson, we are told the next Battlefield title features new innovations enabled by next-gen consoles and their growing installed base, so that's another incentive to release Battlefield at a later date, to arrive in some sort of package deal that will both benefit the game consoles and the new Battlefield title. What exactly these new innovations for the consoles could mean for our next Battlefield game? Well, we'll have to wait till the release of these next-gen consoles coming out in late 2020. But what I will say is, whether for better or worse, it's going to be an interesting next couple of years for the Battlefield franchise. But what are you guys looking to hear from any news from our next Battlefield title? If you could use only 4 words or so to describe what you would want to hear, let me know what those words would be down in the comments below. But that is it for you guys today. Again, I always appreciate you guys being here. I am Livin', and I'll catch you guys again later.